Before this class, when I thought of insanity, I thought abstractly about an individual who is disconnected from reality and disillusioned with life. However, after taking a class on Toni Morrison, I now think of soldiers like Frank Money and Shadrach from Home and Sula, traumatized by scenes of death and destruction. I think of a child like Pecola Breedlove in The Bluest Eye, who becomes obsessed with a specific notion of beauty. I think of slaves like Hal in Beloved, who sits in front of a butter churn with butter smeared on his face. It's easy for readers to simply label these characters as crazy. However, insanity is a condition that cannot be so simply defined. Morrison's novel suggests to me that the problem is not the individual that has been pushed to the brink of insanity, but the problem is the stifling environment that pushes people to exist in undesirable ways. Oppression and trauma are two factors that lead to madness in the characters of Morrison's novels. For some characters, such as Pecola and Hal, an oppressive existence paves the way for a sequence of traumatic events. After experiencing trauma, these individuals are psychologically scarred as they grapple with their sense of reality. In the case of Pecola, her community felt wholesome after they cleansed themselves on her. They felt beautiful next to her ugliness. Her guilt sanctified them. Her pain made them glow with health. Her inarticulateness made them believe they were eloquent, and they honed their egos on her and padded their characters with her frailty. This emptying contributes to her madness, causing her to take on an imaginary identity, disconnecting herself from the real world. For Hal in Sweet Home, the fact that he is unable to control the injustice of seeing Seath sexually abused by the schoolteacher's nephews causes him to retreat into himself and disconnect from the outside. Hal is last seen silently sitting in front of a butter churn. As Paul D. describes it, the images that Hal witnessed broke him like a twig. Similarly, with some of the other characters like Shadrach and Frank, a chain of traumatic experiences followed by a return home to an unstructured existence leads to their insanity. Trying to find their way in the labyrinth of their lives, they both strive for some sort of normalcy. Shadrach yearns for a way to control the unexpectedness of death by initiating National Suicide Day, while Frank is on a journey to find his home, a consistent, unchanging place that is both fresh and ancient, and safe and demanding where he can feel at rest. Toni Morrison's world of characters driven to insanity by the world around them has altered the way I view insanity. In Morrison's novels, we are introduced to characters that have lost touch with reality. However, Morrison does not attempt to villainize these individuals. The physical disconnect that these characters feel transitions into a mental disconnect that is internalized. A stifling environment functions as a pressure cooker for these characters who are overwhelmed by their lack of control over their own existences. This pressurized environment crushes the human spirit of these individuals, and over time they are bound to snap. Morrison's depiction of life has taught me that insanity is not an abstract concept. Because Morrison humanizes insanity through the creation of realistic characters, I question whether the characters are insane at all. Maybe the true insanity lies in the environment of chaos and oppression that must exist in order for these characters to feel disconnected and alienated from the world in the way that they do. In these environments, characters can easily become detached from their world, and they can slip into a metaphysical realm where they simply decide to choose for themselves what is real and true and what is not.